Jupiter's actually moving towards the end of its placement in Scorpio, and it's moving towards its own sign, which makes Jupiter a little bit weak but happier. So I'm feeling personally, this is my personal, I'm feeling happier or more optimistic. It affects my chart fairly well. It should affect relationship life a lot much better for most people, because Venus in Libra is a good placement until the 26th of October. They'll also, and Venus will go into Scorpio, and that's a good time for romantic involvements, especially passionate ones. And Jupiter's relatively well placed to protect certain parts of the chart. Now we have been having, now there are general negative aspects that are happening as well. So I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't warn you about those as well. So Mars and Saturn are in not mutual opposition, they're in what's called Sambandha. So they're in mutual aspect to each other, and they will be for about 3 months roughly. So that's not really a good placement. And what that does, essentially what that does in very simple language, is Mars wants to move things forward, it wants to push things forward, it wants to energize, it wants to act, and Saturn keeps saying, not yet, we're not ready yet, slow down, hold off, don't do anything. So when you have a Saturn-Mars aspect like that, what it tends to do is it tends to get you really charged up to do certain projects, and you say to yourself, I'm going to do this tomorrow, I'm going to do this next 10 minutes, I'm going to do this right now. And then all of a sudden something comes up and blocks it, or some duty or responsibility, some ethical consideration gets in the way, and you say to yourself, I can't do it now. And you'll have that kind of back and forth motion. It won't be as bad as the Saturn Ketu, where the person had no idea how they wanted to change or what direction they wanted to go. But the Saturn-Mars is going to essentially make a person feel like it has to be perfect before they move. Everything has to be, every I has to be dotted, every T has to be crossed. And for those of us who lived in the real world for a long time, I turned 67 October 1st, it's really, there is no such thing, except maybe for 3 times in the astrological year in Hindu astrology, there's no such thing as a perfect time. And that perfect time is judged by a certain combination of sun and moon, which I won't get into right now, but I will let you know the times in a future broadcast. And essentially that means the moment is good to do something. Does that mean everything in the chart is perfectly poised to do something? No, because the moment is based around Muhurta, is really based around the sun and the moon combinations in the chart. So you may have a combination of good sun-moon combinations, but the rest of the planets may be all wrong to do what you want to do. So the sun and the moon are essentially the 2 most important planets for getting things done, because that's essentially what they would call permission from the sovereigns in the chart. But it also means that you can't really rely on the other planets to fulfill their role. So Saturn's moved away from, so I don't know if you saw this the weekend of October 5th and October 6th, but you could actually see Saturn right next to the moon in the sky. It was really quite something, and Jupiter was like a little bit, so Saturn would be up here, Jupiter would be, moon would be up here, Saturn would be over there, and Jupiter would be a little bit roughly in that spot. So you essentially had some support, but everything this past weekend felt difficult. It felt harsh. I had a flu that doesn't seem to be letting up until earlier today, and essentially everything you want to do is just even though you want to do it, it just wasn't working, and basically it doesn't mean you can't get anything done. That's not what it means at all. So if you're thinking about big projects, the best way to approach this is to pick a day of the week, like Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because those are the planets that are well placed in the chart right now. That's Mercury rules Wednesday, Jupiter rules Thursday, and Venus rules Friday. And then start in small increments. So everything doesn't have to be perfect. Everything doesn't have to be right. You have multiple chances to start things over again, and multiple chances to practice and get things right. But it's a good time to start, especially right now. The moon is waxing. It's been waxing for a little while now, so it's actually a good time to start projects. Up until the full moon. Around the full moon is a good time. It's generally considered a good time to get rid of things. So you need to throw away a lot of stuff in your life, or get rid of any projects that aren't really fulfilling you, or even get out of a relationship, or get out of or leave a job that isn't really fulfilling. The waxing moon after the full moon, all the way to the new moon, is the best time to do it. And as a matter of fact, there are even certain rituals you can do around the new moon, which were recommended to me by Hindu priests, and which I'll share in subsequent transmissions, that are really effective. They're very, very, very simple to do, but they're very, very, very effective for wiping out negative energy. And I won't keep you in suspense very long. I'll probably tell you in the next broadcast, but they're really, really, very simple. The other thing to keep in mind is, as we have this Saturn-Mars, Saturn's finally out of the Kalasarpa Yoga. So what does that mean in plain English? Well, essentially Saturn's moved past where Ketu was in the chart. So Saturn's been, if a planet is friend of another planet, it'll tend to obscure, it'll tend to be the focus of that planet's particular enmity. They have a condition called planetary war in Indian astrology, and so Saturn was winning planetary war with Ketu, but there's no such thing as planetary war with the non-luminous planets, by the way. But if we get into that particular representation, which is really about facing obstacles or facing enemies, Saturn's a working planet. Ketu was essentially saying, I have all these projects I want to do, which do I pick? Saturn's finally passed it. It says to itself, well, we can start moving forward, we can start working. Mars wants it last week, but I have to organize myself and get myself organized. So allow yourself a little time to get organized, because these projects have been pushed back, put on delay for about the past couple of years. To be honest, it hasn't been something which has been sudden, and especially since March, around March 18th, there have been a lot of unexpected delays and unexpected upsets and bombardments on security, which have stopped you from doing things. That finally ended, but it'll take some time to establish the roots and get yourself grounded enough so that you can move forward in these projects with some confidence. So I wouldn't worry about not getting started right away. I wouldn't worry about that, but now it is time to move. Now it is time to get busy on some of these dreams you'd had, because Saturn is restriction, Ketu is freedom, and Saturn has been saying, well, I want to do these things, but I can't because I'm confused. I don't know what to do. And now Saturn doesn't have that excuse. Saturn has. So now if you have these big dreams, these big changes you were going to make, and some of you already made them, now is the time to make these changes serious and solid and concrete. Okay? And this will take a while. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight. It'll take, because it's Saturn, it's a permanent change, and because it's Saturn, it'll move slowly. So we're really talking about before February, before it really feels like you're solid. But you can move forward. Also, Mars is making you anxious to move forward. That'll put some fire under your seat. It'll make you feel like you can move forward. But again, there'll be times when Saturn will just say, whoops, let's not rush things. We got to get this straightened out. We got to get that straightened out. And there's a dictum that I've been seeing more and more lately, and that is, you shouldn't worry about how you're going to get there. You just set the goal, and you'll figure out how to get there. So, but what Saturn likes to do is likes to worry about how it's going to get there. So essentially, you'll find out that when you set a goal, all of a sudden, maybe not right away, but within a few weeks, opportunities will start to show up which will essentially reinforce that goal. And sometimes you'll have to stick at those goals for a while. If they're worth having, they're worth sticking with. Okay? They're worth adhering to and getting yourself together and getting yourself in shape for what changes are bound to come, because life does change. That's the nature. I mean, beyond this reality, there's another reality where everything is unchanging. And I'm not talking about a science fiction universe. I'm talking about a spiritual world. But in this world, life changes. We get older. We have babies. We change jobs. We change partners sometimes. We change careers. We change, eventually our shells give out and we die, right? So essentially, this world in which we live, even though Saturn wants to make sure it's solid and stable, it changes. And it's not happy. Some of the changes are happy, some of the changes are sad. But how you react to them, how you use them, depends on how much you grow in this lifetime. So I'm not a preacher, I'm not a spiritual teacher. I'm just saying what I've learned through the years. Okay? All right, so let's talk about, in general, let's talk about what's happening in the world as of November 1st. I'm tempted to talk about the impeachment process, and I read something today in the paper saying the impeachment process could actually happen. Technically, Donald Trump could get impeached before Thanksgiving. And so impeachment doesn't mean removal from office. So impeachment means the vote by the House to send the president to be tried by the Senate. And I don't believe that's going to happen by November. Let me just look at the chart. Hold on a second. So if I look at the time-space change, the major thing I'm looking at right now is we have, this is really interesting, we have a Mars line running right through Washington, D.C. So essentially that means Washington is going to be in kind of an uproar next month. So they might in fact actually get the impeachment proceeding through, or it's running close to Washington, D.C. It's not quite on it. But it's running through, it's interesting because it's running through Ohio and North Carolina and South Carolina. I have to look at this map really carefully sometimes, and a little bit around Nicaragua. That's where the Mars line, our Rahu line, is in the middle. It's right in the heartland of the country. So I think that's one of the reasons I'm doubting you'll see an impeachment trial It won't be for trying, or it won't be. I'm sorry, an impeachment or an impeachment voted on. It won't be for trying, but they'll be looking for more things. There is sadly a Mars line running through, essentially, what looks like France and Northern Africa down through Gabon. Gabon's this little country which is like right below the Horn of Africa, and yeah, and there's a Saturn Rahu line there. So I'm afraid there's going to be some real trouble down that, just like under Africa's hoop. I know I'm not describing it correctly geographically. There's a sun line in Eastern Europe, which doesn't look too detrimental, although the sun is a bit weak. So we're going to have some governmental disruptions in Greece, maybe Turkey, maybe Eastern Africa, and a couple of Mercury-Venus lines going through the Soviet Union, so they're going to be a happy period. Saturn line is running right through China again and Southeast Asia, essentially Indochina, what we tend to call French Indochina, but the western part of it. And lastly, the last negative line I can see is near Japan, but not quite on it. So I think Japan's pretty much in the clear. So, and there's a Saturn line running right through Ohio, and so it looks like in the United States, roughly east of Arkansas, looks like it's in a trouble spot in the United States right now, all the way through roughly Virginia and western New York. Washington, D.C. is not really impacted, okay? Yeah, so I'm not sure. I just have a feeling this investigation will run on a lot longer because of the Saturn-Mars mutual aspect. It's one of the things I've seen. I could be surprised, many astrologers are, but that Mars-Saturn, essentially, it's just really, it's like the worst accountant or the worst, obsessive teacher you've ever seen. The part that I'm a little bit worried about, though, is actually China near Mongolia and Tibet, and also Middle Russia and down towards the far west part of Indonesia. Those parts look like there may be some serious problems in governments and a lot of instability. Yeah, all the way roughly through. Yeah, it's pretty much confined to those regions. The good news is a lot of the interchanges of the lines don't occur near large population areas, so that's good, except in Central America. So hopefully the Central American people are in good shape. I have had a lot of concern about Turkey because of the recent earthquake there. I'm not really quite as concerned about it right now. I think they may have some problems in late December, but not right now. So we'll look at that map more carefully in late December, as opposed to right now. The major thing for the signs, and this will be one of the quickest summaries of signs I've ever done. Aries is going to have, this is April 15th to May 15th. Aries is going to have a lot of emphasis on relationships, but also a lot of financial opportunities and an increase in wealth over the next few months. It still will be a very extremely ambitious sign, and its luck will actually be better over the next few months. You'll actually see changes in luck, and you'll see its efforts to do things really come to fruition. Taurus is having a really good relationship life pattern next month. Good for dating opportunities, good for romantic opportunities. It looks like a superb month. So that's May 15th to June 15th. Gemini still has that rough Rahu, Saturn, Ketu axis that it's been working on over the past couple of years, over the past, few months in particular. But basically, Rahu in the first house will make this particular sign very ambitious, very dynamic, very interested in pushing itself forward. And also, the Sun in the fifth house will tend to give it a lot of focus on children. Mars in the fourth will tend to make it a little bit difficult to please relationship-wise. And Saturn aspecting Mars will also make the person just a little bit frustrated relationship-wise. I feel sorry for poor Gemini and Sagittarius. They've been through such a rough time over the past couple of years, but it's only going to last for another couple of months, and you'll get a lot of breaks over the next year. I promise you. The fourth sign, this will be Cancer, is from July 15th. So Gemini is June 15th to July 15th. Cancer is July 15th to August 15th. Cancer is showing a lot of dynamism, a lot of drive, but not really feeling solid at home or solid in its position at home. But a lot of romantic involvements, a lot of potential romantic involvements for the sign. Some health issues, though, especially with the stomach. So that sign will have to be really careful about what it eats and what it takes in, and there's a tendency to overindulge. The other, Leo has, again, confidence problems this month, so this is August 15th to September 15th, but also financial improvement, especially in terms of property, more energy, more feelings of contentment and happiness, and also, again, it'll have to watch out for its health because Saturn's in the sixth house, and that can give problems with digestion and those types of things. Relationship life is not so much an important concern here, although Cancer and Leo have had difficulty understanding their relationship partners over the past few months, especially since March. For Libra, Sun's in Libra, it's good for financial gains. Not really good for self-confidence, but good for financial gains. They'll also feel a lot of pressure at this time of year. But good for money. It's a really good money month good couple of months for money for them, all the way really through December. And also new desires, new ambitions, they'll want to be in media more. They'll want to be more exposed to the masses, okay? And they'll have that opportunity, actually, at least from this chart. For Scorpio, Libra's November 15th to December 15th. And again, this can be, if you know your rising and your moon sign, you can apply these to those as well. So for those of you who do not know that Vedically, I recommend you apply them. And for Scorpio, a great month financially, a lot of optimism, some financial limitations because of the Mars-Saturn mutual aspect, but you'll start to see actually luck improve and financial activity improve, but still some difficulties communicating with spouses. Sagittarius, tough month ahead, although there will be more opportunities to save money. There'll be more opportunities to make new friends. There'll be more opportunities for achieving career goals. But relationship life will still be dodgy for another few months. This is really until February. Capricorn lasts from December 15th to January 15th. Lasts from January 15th to, let me think now. Capricorn lasts from January 15th to December 15th, excuse me. And January 15th to February 15th, excuse me again. And that particular sign will have increased financial resources, but a lot of expenses connected with family members. And so although it'll gain, it'll also have financial blocks and obstacles, but a lot of luck with supervisors, a lot of ability to take over. Aquarius is going to do well this month. It'll have career gains. It'll actually see an improvement in its overall career status, maybe even offered new positions and surprising positions. And it will also develop new friends this month. The last sign in the zodiac, Pisces, will essentially have difficulty with relationship life. Arguments are suspected, some confidence problems, but financial gains look good, and career life looks good, although there will be some changes in career life, unexpected directions taking place. So that's it for this particular broadcast. I'll be back again soon. Let me know what you think about new ideas and whether or not you like my presentation. I know I mumbled a little bit, but I was heartened when I found out that both Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, mumbled, and certain other people who were famous also, like that. What's his name? Sylvester Stallone actually has a frozen upper lip, so he made it pretty well. So I don't see any reason why I can't. So that's it for this week. I look forward to seeing you again, and until then, namaste.